With the holidays approaching, people are looking forward to being together and gathering with family and friends. However, some people are concerned about the spread of COVID-19 as the virus is still active in our communities. My name is Deptina Johnson, and I am a nurse educator at St. Peter's University Hospital in New Brunswick, New Jersey. Today, I'll be speaking with Cheryl Slonim, an advanced practice nurse at St. Peter's, on the topic of COVID-19 bivalent boosters. In her role as a nurse, Cheryl often gets questions from her patients about the new COVID-19 vaccine. In today's episode, she will be answering the questions that patients commonly have. Cheryl, welcome to St. Peter's COVID-19 podcast.
Thank you, Deptina. Thank you for having me.
Well, I would like to start off by asking our first question.
Sure.
Who should receive a COVID booster vaccine?
Well, much of my answers this morning actually come from CDC recommendation. And the CDC does recommend that all individuals age 5 and older receive one bivalent booster, at least one. So sometimes terminology is confusing for the average layperson. Medical professionals often speak in jargon that might be foreign to the non-medical or non-clinical individual. So I'd like to define what bivalent actually means because it's a bit different now. Bivalent in particular is a term that defines the vaccine to combat both the original virus as well as the variant strain. In this case, it's the Omicron variety. You remember last holiday season, as you mentioned, we're approaching the holiday, right? Last holiday season, a lot of Christmas celebrations went down the tubes because individuals contracted and were super spreaders in a sense of the Omicron variety. So this vaccine, the bivalent, contains both. In addition, those that are immune compromised or those with newborns or elderly, frail elderly in the household probably should receive the extra protection. So by immune compromised, that could be a little varied based on what your physician recommends. Okay. But for the most part, I can give some examples. So very often we look at diabetics as being immune compromised. We look at the elderly, as I mentioned, depending on what the physician recommends. Those who have cancer and or are receiving cancer therapy, whether that's chemotherapy or perhaps the new biologic therapies. And that's totally in concert with what the recommended schedule is from your individual physician. But those immune compromised situations may require a little bit of a different schedule. So just to be clear, okay? Truthfully, it's personal choice. If it was me and there was a newborn in the house or someone frail and elderly in the home, or even if I was going to be having an elective surgical procedure, I might consider whether or not I want to get the vaccine as well.
Okay, thank you for that information. That was very thorough.
Sure.
And that brings me to my next question. What is the interval between the primary series and a bivalent booster dose?
So the interval is at least 2 months in between the last dose and the booster dose that you're receiving. Someone might wonder if they contract COVID-19 in between doses, what they would do. So the CDC does recommend that you continue with the series if you're symptom-free after 10 days. However, it also recommends, CDC recommends, that individual may want to wait 90 days before receiving the vaccine to allow for optimization of natural immunity of having had the disease itself. So we can't discount we don't have a crystal ball on how you'll fare with COVID, but natural immunity is a very important factor. So you might want to wait the 90 days. However, technically, 10 days after 10 days and no symptoms, you're eligible to continue the series.
Okay, thank you. So just to clarify, I can wait at least 3 months after testing positive for COVID-19?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Now, what if I already received a monovalent booster? Can I get a bivalent booster as well?
Oh, absolutely. So the CDC defines updated, and I put updated in air quotes,
Okay.
as having received all available primary vaccines and boosters. So, in fact, people who have received more than one original booster are also recommended to get an updated bivalent booster. As things change, and we all know what's happened with COVID since the original wave, if you will, recommendations change, and additional boosters and additional schedules and additional direction come available. So we've all learned that viruses mutate. That's why vaccines have changed since the original variety was approved for emergency use by the CDC. Those who are immune compromised, again, we talked about that a little bit, should receive an additional dose of primary series in addition to the bivalent booster. And that's from the CDC website.
Thank you.
Okay.
Now, there's another question that we commonly hear from members of the public.
Mm-hmm.
I never received a monovalent booster. Now, only one bivalent booster is recommended for ages 5 and older. Can I still get the previously recommended monovalent booster?
It's a good question, and I get that question a lot. Only the bivalent booster is available now for ages 5 and older. Remember what I said before, that the bivalent booster contains monovalent properties plus defense against Omicron.
Oh, I see.
Okay? That's the difference.
Got it. Thank you. And my last and final question. I completed the Moderna primary series. Can I get a Pfizer bivalent vaccine?
Yes, you may. Now, some folks are in the box of either Moderna or Pfizer, and that's perfectly fine if that's your preference. And then you can actually shop around to see who's offering which vaccine. But in terms of Moderna versus Pfizer, there's really no difference in the bivalent content, and you can receive either one. So yeah, so the short answer is yes, you may.
Thank you so much. You have shared a lot of great information. Cheryl, we really appreciate all that you shared with us. Thank you for being a guest on our podcast. To our listeners, please tune in next time for another series of frequently asked questions.